Good morning, ahoy hoy, and welcome to day 11 of 30 videos in 30 days. Having a little bit of a excellent time here with Good Hair Day. Loving the extra fluff. I think it's actually a decent look. Rawr. Anyway, number one, this is a tremendous success thus far because even though a couple of it has been kind of shaky, we have passed 10 days of doing a video every day, which is great. So I would actually like to share a little bit today because there actually is something that I'm pretty enthusiastic about. As anyone who's watched these has probably paid attention, there's been a little bit of death recently, a couple funerals and everything. So one of them was yesterday, and it was remarkably pleasant to be able to share in the fellowship of some amazing people, including a couple faces I hadn't seen in years. Mind you, they weren't necessarily faces I was looking for anytime soon or really eager to see, but still, it's always nice to see folks. One thing that I find that I appreciate from funerals is I can usually walk away with one additional bit of wisdom. If you've watched the previous videos, I did a relatively lengthy video where what someone had said about the departed was they accepted everything. And that struck me as really a wiser than it seems on the surface sort of circumstance. And I appreciate it because ultimately that's one of the best ways to live life is, living life in a state of acceptance. The takeaway from yesterday's funeral was a little bit different. The person in question was pretty well renowned for her openness, her willingness to meet other people and to share with other people and to accept everyone where she found them and as they found them. And several people had commented on how they had been adopted or refer to themselves as one of her strays. And that is, for me, a remarkably powerful sort of statement. Especially when you consider how many people were remarkably grateful to be one of her strays. So, I grew up youngest of four. All my older brothers are half-brothers. And I tended to be kind of insular. I tended to be just very much a solitary sort. I'd get lost in books and things like that. But one thing that I always really did appreciate doing was just kind of looking for the folks that also didn't really seem to fit in too well and kind of hang out. The gamers from an early age, the dreamers, on occasion the paste eaters, because even paste eaters are kind of fun. And clearly I fell in with the pirates, which is a bizarre bunch of misfits in and of itself. And I have friends across any number of scenes, and that's awesome. But of a few people who know me remarkably close, they will they like to point out that I like to pick up strays. I see people who other people may not necessarily have seen, and I try and bring them into the loop or try and introduce them out to other folks. Most folks who've known me for quite a while know that I'm a pretty aggressive networker. If I find people of similar interests, if I find people who might be able to be of service to each other, I try and connect them as best I can. And strays are good people. The nice thing is they're not lost sheep by any stretch. Uh, they don't need to be shepherded. They're doing just fine. But it's always nice to be able to include them. And when you hear at someone's passing how big of an impact that you make just by reaching out and including people, just by being the person to say hello and say, hey, come on along. I'm doing this thing. It's going to be crazy. I can't guarantee it'll be fun. But there's a healthy chance that we won't die. And it's those kinds of adventures that are just exciting. And to find people that you haven't met and to hear their stories and to show them interest in their stories and to listen. Oh, God, I absolutely fucking love listening to people. Because there's so many stupid things that I have heard over my years. More stupid things than I've actually done, and that's a hell of a list. I love that people don't tend to notice this a lot in their day-to-day, but when you pass and someone says to a crowded church of people, I was so proud to be one of her strays. They weren't just strays. They felt like they belonged, and they felt like they belonged with her because she kept an eye out for them. She invited them, she included them, she took care of them. And that opportunity to be of service, to live that life of service, it's a great thing. And I walked away from yesterday with a profound appreciation for the person I knew who really wasn't even the person that I knew, but the person that I knew a small sample of and knew that there was an amazing amount to her, but I never could have gauged the impact. I didn't know she picked up strays. Now I know she picked up a lot of them. And all of them were grateful to her for that. You never know the impact you're going to have on people. You never know who's going to love you, who's going to hate you. I'm sure there's people who really aren't overly fond of me. I mean, hell, I'm not overly fond of me most of the time. But it's good. It's good to spend the time hearing about what people will miss. It's good hearing about what people felt in their presence. And it's good to know that even if you're not necessarily aware of it, you're impacting other people a lot. And that's a great, great thing. I have no idea if these videos are impacting people, but you know what? It doesn't matter. A few people will catch them. That's awesome. If a few more like it or whatever else, that's great. I'm just excited to be able to share. I'm excited to hopefully hear more stories from people. And as much as I hate to attend the funerals, I love being part of the lives of people who were so loved and appreciated. That's day 11, folks. See you again tomorrow for day 12.